this map is I guess we'll go ahead and dive into the map relatively soon, right after we get our first player introduction here. At the bottom right, we got our lovely red Terran from Shopify Rebellion. Guys, put your hands together for Byun.
And his opponent spawning in the top left corner of the map, playing for the team of Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for the blue Terran, Byun.
And one of the aspects of this map is that it is a pretty large map. And so, things like these can happen where we do have some cheeky proxy play coming out of here.
I do like this a lot. I'm pretty sure there was a series in a Premier tournament recently where a player went for just proxy racks for the entire series. I don't remember if it was Kier. I think some of you in the chat might know, but
you know what? I bet it would have been an innovation. I mean, he seems like one of those guys that do that.
Oh, definitely. He is very innovative. Yeah, so on the other hand, we do have Byun opening up with a double gas opener, and then of course his opponent with the 2 racks. So we're going to see some Reaper versus Reaper action in just a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, some people or one person in the live chat just said it was Teja probably years ago. Oh man, I miss Teja. I'm sad that he is retired, but he has definitely gave us a lot of happy memories.
Yeah, we are seeing, you know, a lot of big names starting to leave the StarCraft 2 scene, and it's a little bit sad. But on the other hand, we are seeing a lot of up-and-coming pro players, in my opinion, you know, when you keep an eye out in the ESL and whatnot. All right, here we go. We have 2 Reapers for Cure coming up the ramp, and immediately Byun pulls back his single Reaper up onto the high ground. Loses the Logon SCV, but does immediately start a Hellion on the high ground. So how much damage are these Reapers going to be able to do?
So far, Byun does matches in the Reaper count, but however, the Hellion that's about to pop up, that is going to be the kind of the X factor here to kind of allow Byun to be able to hold against off of this. Because, you know, Byun is working off of 1 racks only compared to Kier's 2 racks, so definitely need that Hellion. Oh, actually, you know what? Kier does get the cancel on that CC, so even if this doesn't really get too much done, at the very least, he does, you know, do some economic damage by forcing the cancel on that CC.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, on the other hand, we also see that Kier is already getting a tech lab for his factory. His factory was already built safe back at home, and getting that cancel, like you said, on the natural is actually huge. Just that Byun was not quite in position to consistently defend that SCV that went down to continue building the command center. So now we're going to see that, you know, Kier is building on location, whereas Byun is building on the high ground. Just some little things to help give him the edge in this mirror matchup.
Alright, this barracks gonna go ahead and fly in, fly out. The day of night. You see everything that is happening here at Byun's main base.
So it looks like Byun might be trying to go for a drop in just a little bit. We do see that medevac producing out of the starport. Whereas on the other hand, we do see Kier kind of mirroring his opponent with that Cyclone. So that Cyclone is going to be a big help in early game defense. We'll have to wait and see if it's able to actually, you know, get a lock on the medevac. That would be excellent for Kier, but we will have to wait and see.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually waiting for his last couple of Marines, and then he is going to go ahead and fly across the map. But actually going to go ahead and try to take down this barracks before doing so. Look at him trying to hide that medevac. Now, I'm not sure exactly if Kier was able to see it, but if he doesn't, at the very least, you should know that there is something happening, because there is a tech lab on that starport. And here we go, the first medevac will go across the map. So it's going to be like a double prong attack, it seems like, because he is looking to kind of drop into the main base, while these Hellions and Cyclones are probably going to hit the natural at the same time.
Yeah, actually, a lot. I mentioned that the Cyclones would be good for early game defense in part because they could lock onto that medevac. But here we go. That medevac is about to enter the high ground, and no Cyclones are to be seen. They're stuck on the low ground. Immediately, Cure pulls back a portion of his army onto the high ground to help deal with the drop. But here we go. We have the double problem. That single sieged up tank on the front lines may not be enough. It does fall to the main army. Raven does pop its auto turret on the low ground, but at the same time, we see 5 SCVs have gone down to the drop in the main base. And all in all, this seems like a very costly hold for Cure.
Yeah, very costly indeed. I mean, let's take a look at the units lost tab here, and you can see a lot of gas units and as well as mineral units going down here. Now, all in all, it's pretty even, but you gotta remember the SCV kills were significant or decent enough so that Byun right now, he's enjoying almost basically a 10 worker supply lead. And right now, all that Byun needs to do is just establish this dirt base, and he should be fine. I mean, he should be able to out macro Cure from here on out, assuming he doesn't suffer any like significant damage.
That's right. Now, Cure did try to go and pressure the third base location. Did get I think that Cure got confirmation that his opponent was building a third on site. Yep, he did. It was within his vision. A little bit of a skirmish. Tried to get the lock on the Raven. Didn't quite get it, but did get confirmation that the third was going down. Now, like you said, all in all, it does seem relatively even. But given the large amount of SCV kills, you know, it's still hard to say. And obviously, in such a volatile matchup, because mirrors are always volatile, you know, it could just take 2 good siege tank hits, and then all of a sudden, one army just decimates the other.
Yeah, and also the thing about mirror matchups is that, you know, if you're down by, you know, a decent amount of workers, you're both, you know, because both players will have the same macro mechanics, it's pretty hard to just try to come back by doing absolutely nothing and just sitting around. And that is actually not what's happening, because Cure was able to pick off a huge chunk of Byun's army. He overextended out there. I'm not sure why he went out into the middle of nowhere, but that does cost him the game, and Cure was seemingly looked like Byun's game to take. All of a sudden, Cure picks up and steals game 1. Alright, so we're here in game number 2 on Oxide LE. Hopefully Byun can sure things up. Speaking of Byun, he is our Red Terran player at the bottom left, hailing from Korea and representing the team of Shopify Rebellion. Give it up for Byun.
And his opponent spawning here in the top right corner of the map, playing for the team of Dragon Phoenix Gaming, also from Korea, playing as the blue Terran player. Give it up for Cure.
Andre Marshall asking in the Twitch chat, is this a replay? Nope, this is all live right now. We did the map vetoes, and so we knew the map order, so that's why the second game was loaded up pretty quickly. Because we you know, just pretty easy, just load up the map. All the players are in the party as well, so yeah, that was pretty quick. But yes, this is live indeed.
So far, it looks like both players are opting for a double gas setup. Neither player is going for a proxy. That almost feels disappointing in a way. You know, I'm not saying that I'm actually disappointed, but you know, it's fine. I'm just gonna go home and cry about this. No, I'm kidding. This is just fine. I'm excited, regardless.
Yeah, you know, as a player, you hate cheese, but as a viewer, somehow it's like always like the greatest thing, because
exactly.
You know, let's be real. I mean, the majority of games, or I wouldn't say the majority, but a lot of the high pro level games, they don't usually start off with cheeses. They just like usually pull it out like maybe once out of every maybe 3 to 4 games. But
Right.
at this level, like, you know, both players tend to be high level, so cheeses are a bit difficult to kind of pull out. But if you can successfully do it, it's a pretty good win to pick up.
Yeah,
oh,
definitely.
Sorry. Forgot to update the scoreboard. 1-0 for Byun. Or sorry, for Kier.
Yep, for Kier. It's like both players feel kind of safe enough, or at least respected enough, to be able to put down their low ground CCs and, you know, get all their nice tech. Actually, Kier, instead of going for the Starport, is opting for double Reapers produced out of the reactored barracks.
Oh.
So a bit of a deviation.
Yeah, a little bit of a deviation here. So it kind of seems like it's going to be one of those Reaper Hellion kind of pressure, and usually in those skirmishes, micro is like the key thing to make sure you do win the battle.
I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about how at higher levels, cheeses tend to be more uncommon. And that's just because, you know, pro players are not giving each other as many opportunities to just straight up win. Because their micro is just so good, and they face that same thing a million more times than the rest of us. Whereas in a proper macro game, there are a lot more opportunities for them, relatively, for them to, you know, try to pick each other apart and find cracks in each other's armor, essentially.
Yeah. All right, looks like Kier is ready to move on now and put on some pressure here. Now, this is quite scary because there's not a lot here at the front. In fact, that Widowmine gets only, I think, one or so. But this Cyclone hopefully can hold strong, but I think the rest of these SCVs are going to die before then.
At the same time, we do see a drop going into Kier's main, and it is diverted. Oh, no, never mind. SCVs will be pulled off the line, so we are going to see bloodshed on both sides. We do see 9 SCVs going down for Byun, but already we see that count growing for Kier. Now, it looks like that drop was largely handled. SCVs were pulled, and a Cyclone is on site to deal with the medevac. But yeah, so far, I would say that Byun definitely did not get a better trade there, losing 9 SCVs, I believe, to Kier's 5.
Alright, I think I'm not sure, but maybe the Cyclone might be in range. Oh no, actually, never mind. It's not in range.
Just barely out of range. Wow.
Alright, Banshee.
Yeah, I wonder what...
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, Banshee does come in here for Byun. Gonna go ahead and snip away at this natural. Now, don't think there is a cloak. Yeah, there is no cloak for that Banshee, so just gonna go ahead and rely on the micro. Wow, dropping into the main base as he tries to distract Kier. Doesn't really get too much done. So all in all, still 9 workers here killed or lost for Byun, and 5 workers lost for Kier.
Compared to last game, this has been relatively tame. Now, we do see that Banshee, again, coming out here. Ooh, it is always too easy to underestimate the DPS. That Banshee did take down 2 Marines before it finally fell. I think it died to an auto turret, or maybe the Cyclone, one or the other. But that just kind of showcases the sort of importance of having Ravens in the early game. They can disable, they can deal quite a lot of DPS through their auto turrets, etc., etc. But I'm actually quite surprised that both of our players are opting for 2 rather than just 1 Raven. Plus, Kier is going for reactored Vikings, so it is clear that at this point in the game, both players are trying quite early on to establish that air control.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially since both of them are going for those tank marine kind of army composition, air control is going to be very key down the line during those fights. Because even if you do have like maybe 1 or 2 extra tanks, you know, they're going to be sieged up, and so it's going to be kind of like a slow push. And if you can have the air superiority, then you can kind of slowly push it through. But here we go, the auto turrets going down in front of these tanks. Byun actually not even gonna siege up. He's just gonna go straight on top of these tanks, cleans up the rest, and gonna march on forward.
That was pretty crazy. Now these Vikings for Cure have to be landed. Actually, the entire SCV line is actually pulled off the line. Vikings are chasing. One single tank is sieged up, so it's gonna start dealing tremendous damage to the mineral line. It is taken care of, and for now, it looks like Byun has... maybe? Looks like Byun will be forced back for the time being, but 18 SCVs have gone down for Cure. So that was a very costly hold, once again.
There's gonna get a little bit of a cat and mouse chase here. These Sea Shanks gonna barely actually go back into safety. And yeah, Cure finds himself in a little bit of a hole, as there was a lot of SCVs that went down. Now, this is kind of similar to game 1, where Cure did lose a lot of SCVs in the early game. And so, you know, Byun was like fully in control, and this is kind of a little bit of a deja vu, but last game he didn't lose that many SCVs. Currently, let's see here, 24 SCVs has gone down for Cure, so a much bigger disparity.
Yeah, definitely. Cure undeniably has the worker advantage, but he's fighting in this liberation zone, so he will take care of all of the Vikings, but at the cost of how many siege tanks and that last Viking as well. Looks like both players are taking quite a lot of losses, I would say. Now, we do see the SCVs coming up to repair these key units, being siege tanks for Byun. At the same time, both players have taken their third bases. Looks like Cure is already mining from it with about half saturation. But yeah, I mean, this has been such a bit of a roller coaster, I would say. You know, you've got a lot of losses on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. A bit more for, of course, Cure. But the good thing is that he does establish his third base. It doesn't seem like Byun is looking to push out quite yet. As I say that, he is looking to... Okay, never mind. He is pushing forward. Because I was going to say, like, Cure, probably his best chance is right now to play the long game. Kind of stretch it out. Now, granted, the upgrades not the upgrades. The army supply is pretty even, so this might not be the best time for Byun to push on out. And yeah, he doesn't have enough support for these tanks, and these tanks are gonna get sniped down. Oh no!
Wow. See, that is the thing about TVT, is that if your tanks are not sieged up, obviously they do have mobility, but there are many cases where you really need them to be sieged up, and that was one of them. Now it looks like Cure is going to take the opportunity with these medevacs and his tanks, as well as that single escort Viking, to just go right back across the map. And this, you know, such a back and forth, but that definitely was not the fight that Byun wanted to take. Now it looks like Cure is going to stem on forward. I don't know about that. Ooh, just a nice hot pickup on those two remaining Marines, but oh man.
Oh man, and now Cure, he is kind of knocking at the door, and he is kind of a little bit of a contain here. Going to control the pathway from the natural to the dirt, which makes it much harder to defend. Byun can't really set up any kind of surround or anything, but he is going to go ahead and try to pull his SCVs to break out of this hold. Wow. Can he do it?
Now the difference here from the last few SCV pools is that we do see a lot of Marines, and Marines, of course, they have a lot higher DPS. Now, they are going to kill 31. What a ridiculous amount. 31 SCVs, and GG is called. Cure takes game number 2. Alright, so far it looks like both players are doing exactly the same build. We do see a factory going down for both players, as well as a double gas setup. Now, interestingly enough, we do see that on one of Byun's gas geysers, he only has 1 out of 3 workers, which... Now, Snoopy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 2 out of 3 on both gas geysers?
Yeah, well, I guess, like, the most efficient way, because, of course, 3 SCVs can, or you usually put 3 SCVs onto 1 refinery, but splitting like that, you know, I guess you get, like, very tiny, increments or advantage So yeah, usually you will have more, and it looks like Byun does put more on the gases. Now I think he actually took some SCVs away because he wanted to make the CC a bit earlier. And so once once the CC was done or placed down, I think that's when he placed the rest of the SCVs into the refineries.
Right. Now back to what you said earlier about can Byun do it if he, wasn't able to do it from a lead. I just want to highlight that a lot of players, a lot of the greats of, the kings of StarCraft 2 are famous, or rather infamous, for their ability to stay in and take the punishment and just come back from behind. But I am not so sure if Byun can do it in this particular matchup. I mean, I'm sorry, Byun, I love you, I really do, but I don't... Like, look at this, right? We already see the 2 Hellions and the 3 Reapers coming in. Now, at the same time, we do see a similar situation across the map. So both players are trying to aggress each other for the time being. We do see 7 SCVs going down for Cure so far. Byun is also starting to fall. Oh, man. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know who comes out of this alive, really.
I don't know either. I mean, basically it's kind of the same thing on both sides, and I guess whoever micros the best, the Cyclone does pop out for Kier, so he will be able to stabilize. And do we have a Cyclone here? Nope, no Tech Lab on that factory. So these Reapers for Kier will continuously shoot away at that CC. More units coming across the map, but Byun is going to be able to take out some of these reinforcements. However, that Cyclone might be the wild card, as Byun doesn't really have too much here.
Yeah, you definitely said it. I mean, that Cyclone outranges basically everything else in the early game. Now, we do see a Raven coming up for Byun, so if Byun is allowed to get that Raven out, then it could change the game possibly. But look at this. We do see the entire SCV line being pulled as well. Yet again, that Viking is just tearing them to shreds. Also, the Reapers and that Cyclone is being kept safe and sound in the back. Now, it is finally left alone, and it will be taken down after taking an additional SCV with it. So, Kier coming across the map and, taking back that worker lead after having lost it just a little while earlier.
Yeah, so the first time in the series, Kier does take the worker lead in the early game. And so, yeah, this is going to be a kind of an uphill climb for Byun. We have seen Kier kind of gotten the better of Byun today. And so, I'm kind of feeling there might be a really quick 3-0 sweep here. But, I mean, the game is not over yet. There is still some hope. But I mean, if the game continues on, it might look quite dire for our Red Terran.
You know what, Snoopy? I have hope. And that hope comes in the form of a Banshee with Cloak. I think that Banshee is going to do great things. Oh, just kidding. Wait, there's a Raven. Wait. Forget what I said. Okay, now here we go. We do see Byun getting a hit off with the Widowmine, but it really wasn't decent. We do see Kier was able to split off that targeted Marine just in time, showcasing his excellent micro. And like you said, it's gonna definitely, it already is an uphill battle. Now, that auto turret dealing some damage in the back, it will help a little bit, but is it enough? That is the question.
Yeah. And also losing that Raven along with that attack, it's basically worse. Things becoming worse than it already is, and Byun can't afford to lose any more units because he needs all of them, every single one of them. Looks like here it's going to go ahead and march on across the map. That Banshee here for Byun has yet to actually dive in, but you know what? Maybe if he can take out the Raven. Although, actually, as I say that, it's going to be quite tough because Kier is going to be able to micro that really well to make sure that that Raven doesn't die. Because I was going to think, like, maybe if he can take out the Raven, that Banshee here can clean house, but they're both across the map, actually.
Oh, here we go. That Viking and that Raven are getting really, really far up onto the high ground. Now, that auto turret is immediately taken care of, but look at this. We have one tank and a handful of Marines against the fully fledged Marine tank army with the Viking and that another auto turret for support. And I think this is just about game as we do see a bunch of SCVs going down. Now, that Banshee in the back trying to do some damage as well against Cure, but look at that. I mean, in return for what? A lost command center? Like, this is not it. I'm sorry, but this is just trying to slow down the inevitable. You know, we do see that Banshee on the high ground just trying to deal some damage, trying to, you know, and Banshees do have good DPS, but at the same time, that Banshee over on Cure side of the map, those two Banshees, excuse me, dealing a lot of worker damage. So I guess it's not over just yet, but yet another SCV pull for Byun. Who will hold better? That is the question again.
Oh man, I think Byun actually just barely gonna be able to clean the rest of the forces, and these Banshees actually still alive. Oh, actually, I think only one Banshee is still alive. Scan does get used. Well, actually, no, the other second Banshee does come here, but I think one more scan will be able to clean up the rest. The Raven also coming back home, I believe. Yeah, the Raven will be able to provide the detection. So Byun is going to be able to take out 32 workers, but...
That is crazy. Cure, with 9 SCVs, takes the game.